Guys, Creighton here again with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about optimal raid composition. I figured it was a good idea to do one of these videos because we have a lot of new members recently, and now that all of the events and festivals are over, I'm sure that people are going to be wanting to get back to runs. And a lot of our new members are hit the level cap finally, and they're going to be ready to start running stuff and all that. But a lot of them have never been in a serious raid before, or even semi-serious. I mean, a lot of them have, but some of them haven't. And even the ones that have, I'm sure they haven't been in one that was constructed optimally. Now there's a difference between just getting a lot of DPS players together, like a tank and a healer, and going to go into an instance or a dungeon to go kill some bosses and stuff. That's all well and good, and that's majority of runs that happen. But if you want to try something new and harder and really test the limitations and swing for the fences with the DPS's capability, there's a different way that you basically have to set up the party. I mean, there's a lot that can be done with all just a bunch of players playing whatever class they want to, I don't know, just have fun and all that. But if you're running, trying to get gear, or seeing what you're actually capable of doing as a group, there's a different way to set it up. And the key part of setting these groups up is something called buffer tunes. The buffer tune is a class combination that has an elite skill that either reduces the boss's defenses or resistances, or increases the party's damage output or attack speed or casting speed to give them a boost to inflict massive amounts of damage in short bursts. This is particularly useful on the lower instances like Bithomia, Grotto of Horror, Pillars of Morphan, Crypt of Eternity, Hall of Earth, and maybe Bone Peak. In Madro's Troll Nest, there's a lot of burn bosses in there, but in Veil of Wraiths, the newer instance, it's all strat based, so there's no real burn in there, so there's no need for all those buffer tunes. But anyway, I'm going to be going over some of the buffer tunes here. A buffer tune is, again, it's a tune that has a skill that helps out the party, but these tunes don't necessarily need to have any gear at all. But it's obviously a lot better if we have an actual player playing those tunes versus just, say, one of the DPS just hits one button to do a macro on an alt that no one's playing on. I mean, that can be a way to get it done, but it would be a lot better if we had an actual person playing that tune. Okay, and I'm going to break down the raid composition. First of all, you need to know what all the raid slots are numbered. There's 36 in all, and oops, I'm in the wrong group here. Okay, group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it goes slot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, okay, now I'm going to be breaking down what's in each of these slots for the optimal group. Then I'm going to go in reverse order of what you can eliminate and what you could do without. But again, okay, so over here I have written down setup. Okay, you typically go with 5 strong DPS. Those will be your 5 strongest DPS, and that's determined if you've been running with the people, if you know what their gear is like, you know what their damage output is, and you just kind of, I don't know, you know who falls into that group of the top 5 of the people that are available. It's, I don't know, it's not to make people feel bad for being worse or whatever, but it's kind of just a fact. They've worked hard to get there for their gear, put in a lot of time, money, effort, or a combination of them. So I don't know, if you want to be in this kind of party that's set up like that and be in those top 5 DPS, put in the work that those people already did. It's not something that happens overnight. But yeah. Also, if you've run in a party that's set up like this and you're one of the people that were in the bottom, don't compare like your DPS. Like if it wasn't full buffer tunes. Like if you're just a random person in this party doing DPS, don't compare that DPS output to the DPS output of anybody in this party. And I'll explain why in a little bit. Because these people are boosted so high in their damage output that your damage output doesn't even really compare, like, at all. So it's like if you were in this party, your DPS would be like way higher than what it would be in this party. Okay, so anyway, top 5 is top 5 are DPS. It doesn't matter which order they're in this party. The 6th slot is special for a few reasons. Both, I'll just go over first of all which buffer tunes are the main 5 to take. Now there's a multitude of different tunes that have different buffs. These are for mostly physical party. There's different ones that like are more beneficial to magical DPS parties, but these are the ones that are top 5 most used. Okay, first one is Warlock Mage. It when your skill is cast on the boss, it increases the physical attack speed of all of the 6 nearby party members by 19.7%. And then it also increases the casting speed of all party members, albeit this top 6, by 9.8%. That's why Warlock Mage stays in this slot, because when that buff runs off, it could just keep being reapplied over and over and over and over and over again to help boost these people. So, and they also have a skill. This one's called Surge of Awareness, that when it's cast, it appears as a little circle on the ground that you can like project like wherever. Then you put it under the feet of the people in your party, or most of them. It increases the physical and magical attack of all party members in that little thing. Again, only the top 6, which is kind of lame, by 20%. And also, it's to note that it also decreases the physical defense by 20% for these 6 people, which is the reason why you don't want your tank in party 1 while the Warlock is doing that, because then the tank loses 20% PDEF, which isn't good for anybody. Okay. The next one, like this order doesn't really matter at all how they are. I just put them in here for just random order. This is how it usually falls. Is the tank is usually in slot 7. I don't know why. Maybe it's easier for the healer to reach that with their healing add-on. I don't know. It's just, I don't know how it always ends up. Then that tank is usually a Night Warrior because they have a skill. Where is it? The skill. Authoritative Deterrence. That it's a taunt for 1, increases your aggro, but the main thing is it increases the damage on the target by almost 50% for 3 seconds. That used to be that same amount for 10 seconds, which was stupidly overpowered and broken. And now they like nerfed it. I don't know. They probably should have compromised for like 25 or 30% for like 5 or 10 seconds. That 3 seconds is stupid. But that's the whole meta, like now, is doing as much damage you can in those 3 seconds. So all the scouts try to get all their skills off then, and the warriors and all the physical classes do their highest hitting skills in that 3 seconds. And, you know, it does crazy amounts of damage. So people found a way to work with that. Yeah. The next one's the healer. It's druid. It's usually a druid for the optimal party, and they have, for druid warrior, they have a party buff which is like amplified attack for priest. It's called Awakening of the Wild for druid warrior. Increases the physical attack power by that much and 9.8%, and increases physical damage, which is very nice, for 30 minutes. And that could be applied to, it hits everyone in the party, so they have to swap to party 1 to cast it, then swap back to party 2, and then cast on party 2. So it's like whatever party they're in, but everybody can benefit from that. They also have a skill. There's Weakening Seeds and Withering Seeds. that's my druid right there. I don't have the physical seeds maxed yet, so I didn't bother linking it, but they want druids over priest for this reason. It's well, when they have nature's power, you consume 1 point of nature's power to reduce the magical defense. The physical defense is the same amount, it's just a different skill, by 17.7% for 20 seconds with a 20-second cooldown. So the druids could probably be doing that in between healing, like all the time. So it's like a constant debuff, which is awesome. So combine that with the knight's 49.1%, and that's already up to 66% reduction, and that will get even more in a few seconds when I tell you the rest of these. Okay, there's also Mage Warlock, which is 30% physical and magical defense reduction on the target. That skill needs to crit, so when the warlock or the mage warlock casts flame or one of these other skills on the target and it crits, it gives you that defense reduction on the boss for 10 seconds, but there's no cooldown on it, so you could just keep casting flame over and over and over again and keep having that a constant reduction on the boss. So that's 96.1% reduction, like I guess 97% reduction between these three tunes, which is amazingly huge. So for 3 seconds, a target basically doesn't have any physical or magical defense. So yeah, that's why these three things are basically a must for any party. And then, I don't know, most of these you could just do without, but I'm going to go over the rest of them anyway. For Champion Priest, it increases the physical and magical damage of the 6 people in the party that this Champion Priest is in by 20% for like 15 seconds. So now this is where the 6th slot becomes special. So in these macros, since this doesn't need to be in the party like all the time, it does like when the boss fight's happening, but you swap this out during countdown, the slot 6 and slot 10, and have the Champion Priest cast its skill and then swap back at some point during the countdown, usually around, I don't know, like 8, like when it gets to 8 or something in the countdown. Same thing with Knight Priest, increases the physical and magical damage of party members, again only 6 of them, by 10% for the party that they're in. So again, swap this out with that. Make sure you have the timing figured out between these 3, so you're not swapping in while the champ is in there or the warden is in there, because when you're swapping that around, and if it gets messed up, like the buffs will be cast in the wrong party and they won't get the buffs and they'll do less damage, and then the warlock mage will end up over here and they won't be, yeah, it just becomes a mess if you don't have it all figured out. Another thing that Knight Priest has is a 30-minute buff, or 15-minute buff, sorry, that increases the defense of whoever it's cast on by 25% and reduces their aggro by 25%, which is really nice and helps out the tank. Just don't cast that skill on the tank, because, yeah, most tanks click it off, or if they have an add-on to disable it. But okay, and then the final thing about Knight Priest is they have a 10-minute cooldown battle res, which means they can resurrect one of these players if they die while still in combat. It has a 10-minute cooldown, so it's probably once a fight, unless it's a really long fight. So say the healer or the tank dies, they can res the tank or the healer. And I believe Warlock Mage also has a res. I think all Warlocks have a res, so if the Warlock dies, you can res the Warlock so they can res other people too. Okay. Warden Scout is one of the final ones. I see a lot of parties going without it. It's nice, but it's not, I don't know, not really necessary. Like, for 30 seconds, it increases the physical and magical damage of all party members, again just 6 of them, by 13.5%. So if you add these up, that's 43.5% more damage. So like, that's pretty huge. Like right there, that number, 43.5% more physical damage. That's the damage on your character screen right here. So yeah, that's a significant boost, and that's the basis of like all of your skills damage output. That combined with that 96% reduction to their defenses, at least for the 3 seconds after that, it's like 40%, but still 47%. But still, that's a huge reduction and a huge increase in your damage output. Oh, almost forgot. For Warden Scout, you could have this in slot 6 because it also has the Warden Crystal Pet that increases the spell casting speed and the physical attack speed of the 6 party members in the party by 5%. That's like a constant thing. It's a 15-second buff, but 15-second cooldown, so it's always going. So if you don't have a Warlock Mage, but you have everything else, you could have a Warden Scout in there. But also, Warden Scouts could double as a DPS. There might very well be some people that like playing these classes. Like I know people that like playing Champ Priest and Knight Priest and Warden Scout, which is awesome. I would definitely encourage them being on parties and being on runs and stuff. And if they are going to, then do what they can to help out the party. But, okay. So, in order of what you can do without, what you can get rid of, it goes in this order. The Warden Scout or the Knight Priest. It really depends on how well each of them are geared. Like, you could have a Knight Priest that's just a knight that decided to come for be a buffer tune, but could be an off tank. If they're geared, they can, like I said, off tank. If they're above level like 60 and all that stuff, they can offer the battle res, and they can offer the defense boost and aggro reduction. The Warden Scout, I don't see a lot of those these days, so a lot of times they get left out like as a buffer tune, like not like neglected for the run, but they're passed over for a buffer tune, and then they usually just bring in another DPS to be in that slot instead. So in the order, I have these two as the same thing. It's interchangeable. Like they could do one or the other, it doesn't really matter. And then you could sacrifice like the Champ Priest after that. Then, since the Warlock Mage also has a 6% party buff for 30 minutes, 6% to all attributes, that's available for everybody. That's why they're usually brought along no matter what. Also, that constant buff to the party that it's in, that's really nice. And at bare minimum, you want to try to have these two, one or the other, but usually, most preferably both, in the party. Mage Warlock, because it offers a constant 30% defense reduction for magical and physical defense, like constantly, that you definitely want to try to have with you at all times. So, going back to the setup one, so get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. That opens up 3 spots for DPS. Oh, sorry, tab didn't work. DPS, then DPS. That's for, you get 3 more DPS people by not having that and having those buffer tunes in party. But I guess it all depends on stop hitting me. It all depends on like how much damage these things can do. But I don't know. A lot of the time, having these 3 DPS people in party makes up for the loss of the buffs for this party in the defense reductions, and this increase here will do plenty for the party. Doing without those 3 tunes, it's still fine. So like I said, knowing which party you fall in is just, I don't know, should just be common knowledge based on like how long you've been playing, what your gear looks like versus the other player in the top party. It's, I don't know, if you have like 7 pieces of statted gear, the rest is just blue unstatted quest gear, stuff like that, and it's just random bag statted with like MDef stats to get it done. That versus someone that has full set of purple gear, like like decked out to the nines, it's like, yeah, it's their DPS is bound to be better. But like I said, it's not to hurt feelings or make people feel bad for not being in that party. It's set up that way for optimal damage output. And if you want to get from here to there, it's, I don't know, it's something you should work on. Like, just work on your gear. It takes time. You'll get better and you'll get there. That's what I did with my scout. I really wanted to go from there up to there, and now it's in party 1. But again, like I said, if you're comparing your DPS in this party to the DPS of everybody in this party here, what they get all of these buffs. They get this buff in particular, and you don't get that. Or if one of these other ones is like a champ priest, or say you don't have this and there's like champ priest and knight priest and they get all that and you don't get any of that, I don't know, that's like a huge like mile in between your DPS output and their damage output. It's like, I don't know, it's not even worth comparing the two. So if you think you can do a lot more damage than what you currently are, it might be worth trying getting into that party just to see what it's like with the buffs. I mean, you don't always need to have it that way. If you're doing something easier with this kind of setup, it might be worth testing out, like, hey, I want to see what I can do. I just want to be in party 1 to see what it's like when I get all the buffs, just to see where you stand for your DPS, and then again work on it from there. So that being said, seeing and comparing, there is an add-on that was meant to be like a learning and like helpful tool to help you gear up, but these days a lot of people use it to like flex and compare egos. But yeah, it's this. It's called Scrutinizer. You click on the person in the party. Right now it's only me, and it'll break it down how much on average you do per hit, how much total damage you've done on targets, how many times you've hit, and it ranks it in order for what's done the most damage. And then you click on it, it'll show you how many criticals, how many normals and misses, but these are over 48, so it's always critical. So it'll break it down like that. So you'll see, like, if you're not critting enough, if you need to work on how much percent crit you have, you could track your progress for like how much like boost to your physical attack you get, does how much for your damage. I don't know. It's a really helpful tool for when you're gearing up and you're trying to get better. It helps you track your progress. And in our guild, we're biased against not linking the Scrutin party, but that's usually the problem we have with that, is the people in party 1 just like the flexing their egos kind of stuff, like, oh, showing off, look at, oh, look what I can do, or blah blah blah. So it's, I don't know, so we don't like that kind of behavior, because then it does turn the tool into kind of a subconsciously kind of a put down for the people that are in party 2, because even though they didn't get the buffs, they didn't do that much damage, they see what they're doing, but their numbers aren't near those numbers. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of disheartening, and it's like, I don't know, that's at least how I felt when I was in party 2, and people would do that all the time. Not necessarily in guild runs, but in like pug runs I would be on. It's like they do that all the time. It's like, well, you're the same class as me, your gear is better, but it's like, yeah, I'm doing like a fifth of what damage you're doing. But again, like the first time I actually did get into party 1, I did like a lot better. I was like, wow, okay, I can see why all those buffs make a huge difference. But again, that's something worth testing out when you have the time. Okay, these are the requirements for each buffer tune. The champ priest, these are the bare minimum requirements. If you have more, like if you have better gear than all this, it's, I don't know, I think it'll do a lot more for the party. Like champ priest can DPS and they can off heal, and I've seen them even tank. But bare minimum, these are if you don't have anybody else playing the tunes. Level 50 champion side, level 45 priest side. This is because it's level 45 champ priest elite, but the skill maxes out at level 50. It's called, let me add that in there. It's called Suicide Advance. That's the one that increases the increases the damage by 20%, and you don't need any gear since it's just a buff cast on the party. For Knight Priest, it's called Holy Illumination. Okay, again, level 50, because it's a 50 elite. You don't need any gear. Now, like, being leveled and geared offers the battle res level 60. Being geared helps out so you don't die, so you're available to do the res. But if you're ungeared level 60, because it's a 60 elite for Knight Priest, if you're ungeared and you have like 10k HP, you'll get one-shotted and you'll go splat, so you can't even offer that anyway. So being leveled up and geared offers with that, and it helps you, and it lets you off tank. Warlock Mage, the level of your skill called Warp Charge determines how much of a buff it gives. At level 98, it gives 19.7% physical attack speed and 9.8% spellcasting speed at level 98. At level 99, it will do more. And since they also have a skill that I forgot to go over, it's a Silent Seal. It's the level 70 elite that when the Warlock casts Silence on the target, the next skill that hits the target does double damage. But if multiple skills hit at the same time, like they're all affected by the double damage. And for some reason, AoE's area of effect skills like Whirlwind Shield, they do quadruple damage for some reason, which is, I don't know, it's ridiculous. But since it lasts only 1 second, I just go meh, and I don't worry about it. I know a lot of other people have like macros or dicey stuff that can help them time with that, but I'm not going to worry about it because I'm lazy. Again, they don't need to have any gear since they're only casting a buff. But again, you have to be max level for that, because it's based off of Warp Charge. Surge of Awareness. Whatever, I don't care if I misspelled that. Maxes out at level 50, and that skill, Surge of Awareness, is the 20% for the people in the party that you cast the little circle under. That's available to any Warlock. It's not just Warlock Mage. Okay, Mage Warlock, you need max level Mage, because the thing is, you don't just need to be able to hit your target, you need to be able to crit on it. And since it's a 70 elite, you need 70 Warlock offside. Now, most people just get max level on both sides, since the Warlock needs to be maxed for Warlock Mage, and the Mage needs to be maxed for Mage Warlock. So, I don't know. And the gear you need to have is magical critical hit rate gear, because if you don't have any crit gear, your skill won't crit, and then the debuff will not apply. So just stack as much crit as you can on the tune. I don't know. I found both of these classes pretty fun to play, and I know a lot of people that actually just play them because they find them enjoyable, which is great, which I also encourage people playing those classes. Warden Scout, you need max level Warden, because that skill that boosts damage is called Morale Boost. It maxes out at the character's cap, so right now it's level 98. And Morale Boost is only a level 40 elite, so you only need level 40 Scout. And it can double as DPS if it's geared. So, yeah, that's the breakdown. So, anyway, if any of these characters you have actual gear for, say you play Champ Rogue, you can do DPS as Champ Priest in your Champ Rogue gear. It's the same thing. Or Knight Priest, if you have a Knight Warrior, you can tank in your Knight Priest gear. Or tank as Knight Priest in your Knight Warrior gear. Another thing that you could do that I don't know why more people don't do is if you tank as a Knight Priest and then just have Knight Warrior like alt to run in and debuff the target, which it could work out, but I don't know, people don't want to do that because they think it'll mess things up, but personally think it would make timing on AD a little bit easier, because it would be consistently going in at the same time. But anyway, whoops. So, that's the reason AD is why Night Warrior tanks are taking over Night Priest tanks, or Champ Priest, or Champ Rogue tanks, or Warden Warrior tanks, is because they just simply don't offer that debuff, which I think is dumb to exclude them. And tanks and runs can be done without that. It can be, but again, that was for the optimal setup. So, say you have a different tank, let's just call it tank, and tank other. Like I said, remove these. You're not gonna let me do that, are you? Move these. DPS, DPS, DPS. Yeah, so it doesn't necessarily need to be maxed out. Only top 5 people that DPS can run, and then everyone else has to buffer tune. It doesn't have to be that way. You could change it up. Change it up a little bit. Keep the same basic setup. It's still going to be your top 5 DPS. Where do they all go? Top 5 DPS in party 1, your lower 3 DPS in party 2, and you try to keep your Warlock Mage in there. But even if you don't, put another DPS in there, and then it just kind of like breaks down from there into just the like 6 plus 4 DPS, and then tank and a healer. It's just like, I don't know, like the bottom rung of what the DPS capability can do. Unless it's like a party of 10 DPS that are as all as strong as each other, and then it kind of cancels out all the debuffers, but that is a very rare occurrence. I feel like I'm rambling. I think I went over all these. Okay. No, I didn't. So, this one is a demonstration for the macro that you click to... Come on, everyone, let me separate it now. I think I done messed up. Anyway, you click the macro and it will swap your characters automatically in the party slots. Like I have these two in slot 6 and slot 9. And here I have it set for just slot 6 and slot 9. This right here is the macro that swaps your swaps the party members. This can be changed to move you to different groups. Like let me just copy. Come on now, whatever. Control V, swap party members. I don't know, 6 and 9. Let me just hit that. See, swap these two. Let's do it again. Swaps them back. Okay. First, another thing I haven't gone over to check is that you make sure that all of your... I can't do it because they're offline, but all of the people in the party that have the buffer tunes, or especially the people that are the buffer tunes, have party assist. That means they would be able to move themselves freely among the party. Otherwise, only the leader can do it. And if the people don't have party assist, they won't be able to move the slots of the raid. So, okay, let me just do that one more time to put them back. Okay. Now, I have this macro set up for a demonstration for Champ Priest, but since I'm on Night Warrior, I obviously can't use the Night Priest or the Champ Priest skill. You set this to however long your tank's countdown is. Typically, it's 25 to 30 seconds. I just set it to 25. You could change that, and then you have a wait for the amount of time that, I don't know, until you want that person to be in that party. You want to be in the party, swap, cast the skill, swap back, and then be out of the party. before the time that the next guy is going to go in and cast their skill and swap back. So I'm going to demonstrate it right now, but instead of Suicide Advanced, I have Whirlwind Shield in there just so you can see it go off. Okay. Start the demo, start Enchant Priest. Say that in Sage Chat because it's just basically like a kind of like a validation that, hey, yes, the button did go off and I did click it and it will happen. So watch over here. Swapped it, cast the skill, swap back. So that's basically how that works. You adjust the timing to whatever timing you want. Adjust this to match your tank's countdown. So when you see the tank say starting count and you see that first number go, you click that button. So, and everyone else will do the same thing that's doing their buffer tunes. And you swap this. This first number will be party slot 6, and then that slot will be whatever slot you're in. Make sure to adjust that slot to whatever slot your character is. Just make sure it's all in order before you go, because sometimes people forget to change it up, and then, oh, they were in slot like 8 last time, and now they're in slot 9, but oops, you accidentally swapped, I don't know, the healer into that group. So yeah, it's just worth checking. And one last thing, if you want to see the party do more than just the same runs that you've been doing, if you want to try something harder that you haven't done before and your group hasn't done before, it might be worth making one of these tunes. Like I said, the ones that don't really even need gear, like a Champ Priest, or a Knight Priest, they don't need gear. You could just make them level 50, you bring it to the party, and I don't know, it will help the party do more than say your ungeared rogue or ungeared warden or ungeared like a mage or whatever. It will do more for the party than your ungeared character could do, and you'll be able to go on the runs and see what to do on the runs, and you get the experience. So once your character is geared, you can go in there and you'll know what to do already. And also, say you want the gear from that instance, but your party can't do it, like just running as you normally do, and you need buffer tunes to get it done. It'll help you get there. Like, you'll be in the run, you'll be able to roll on the gear for your main, and just, I don't know, the party will understand. Like, when you go in, you just declare, hey, I'm in here on my Champ Priest to help buff you guys, but I'm going to be rolling for the mage, like the mage gear that I want for my main. And you stick with that. So if you see a shiny piece of chain gear or leather gear drop you want for one of your alts, you already said you were rolling for the mage, or whatever tune you said you were going in there for at first. So just stick to that. But still, that way you could help the party, you can run more, you can learn the instance, you can get the gear that you couldn't get before for the character you want to play. And then once it gets geared up, you bring that on the run instead. And who knows, maybe you'll be in party 1 by then. So it's a process. It's something that I've done, something a lot of people I know have done, is they've made a buffer tune, a warlock mage or a mage warlock that helps out the party, that they come on all the time. And sometimes they're in party 1 or they're in party 2 DPSing, but they also have that buffer tune in there to help the party. It really helps things along. And again, like I said, I just want to keep reiterating, because I know a lot of people do get disheartened just seeing those raw numbers for party 1 versus party 2. Again, there's no comparison between the two. Anybody that tells you otherwise with max buffer tunes is dead wrong. And I don't know, they're typically the people that are at the top of the scroot in party 1, that they're like, oh yeah, that doesn't matter at all, because they feel, I don't know, a lot of them feel like they're so far above everybody else that it doesn't really affect it that way, but I could tell you for a fact that it does. Another thing is instruments is something you should bring to the party. It requires level 33 crafting. Where is it? For tailoring, makes tambourine, which you learn in Logar, and I forget which makes the lute, but it's also level 33. It requires a bunch of these ingredients that I'm sure you've seen all around, but it affects the 6 people that are in your party. So usually the DPS or the Warlock Mage or whoever is in this party will cast it. It's when this is played, it increases the physical and magical damage by 15% for everybody that's in the party, and that's like 30 seconds. Again, even if you're in group 2 and you're doing the DPS setup without the buffer tunes, or even with some buffer tunes, you use your instruments, it increases the damage of these people in party 2 as well, and in party 1 for the ones that use it there. The other one's loot, that increases attack and spellcasting speed, I think. I never bothered learning that, I just got Tambourine on this guy, but yeah, it increases the attack and spellcasting speed of all people in the party by 15%, which is pretty big. And I think guitar, I forget what the guitar does, but that one's for the magical parties. There's also rattles that increase defense, and then I don't know, a saxophone and something else, but those are like never used, so I don't know, wouldn't worry about those. But look into crafting these, because even if you don't have a buffer tune to bring to the party and you're just bringing your like undergeared, like just all blue quest gear, rogue or mage or warden or whatever to the party, if you can just at least bring a tambourine or something, or a lute or something, it's helping the party out a lot. So it's just all about what you can do to help the party do better, and help them do more damage, and help them clear more content. And then the last thing, I think I already said last thing, but it's titles from Siege War. Now, Kraden, I never siege on him, so he doesn't have a lot of siege titles, but let's see if I can try to find one. All these ones, skill, like Mad Rush, Exquisite Armor, they're all siege titles. This one, I don't know, it's the first like skill you get. They're like fire training. This is the first useful one. Fire training increases the attack and spellcasting speeds by 10% of the party members within a range of 80, which isn't very far. Yeah, I don't remember what the range on Whirlwind Shield is, but I'll try to show it to you. So yeah, that's for the 6 people that are in your party. So one of them usually uses it and swaps back to whatever DPS title they want to wear. The next one is Soldier's Attack. Let's see if I can find that. That is Soldier's Charge, that's movement speed. Crescent Strike. Soldier's Attack. Increases the physical magical attack power of 5% and attack and spellcasting speed by 10%. That's also pretty huge. So that's another thing. Again, for the 6 people that are in your party. So, like I said, even if you're in party 2 and you're doing DPS, just make sure you have some siege titles and like instruments and stuff in your party, or at least try to, or work on it, because those 2 aren't very hard to get. Like, they're within like the first like 10 or 15 titles you would get. Make sure you go down the line that says all attributes. You want to make sure you stay on that line. There might be one for intelligence or strength or stamina on the side, but just make sure it's constantly all attributes. Because I know a lot of people that have went around, like the tree like breaks down the middle is all attributes, and then there's like side ones for strength and side ones for intelligence that route back into them, but some of them miss like fire training, stuff like that. So just try to stick with all attributes all the way down the middle, because the amount of intelligence and strength it offers aren't really all that great. Okay, so see if I could find one. I don't know if it'll show me any skills without actually having them. Yeah, I don't think they will. But there's oh, maybe it will. Flame Bomb, meh. I'm looking for Tactical Attack and Mystic, I don't know, or Tactical Smash. I think it goes up to Tactical Smash 19, but that damage, that 2000 damage is negligible, but it reduces their defense by 9% at +8. Midnight Ritual is the one I was thinking about. So in one of the later Siege titles, it lowers the defenses by 9% for 15 seconds, by 10% for 15 seconds. So it doesn't matter which party that's in. It could be in party 1 or party 2. Because that affects the target, which is the boss that everybody's hitting. So it reduces their defenses by 10%. Stacks with everything. Okay, Tactical Smash 19. It reduces their defenses by 20%, which is huge, which is like one of the number one things that you want to have for a Siege title to use is Tactical Smash 19. And I'm sure at least one of the people in the party will have that, because there's a lot of people that have been playing a long time, and they'll have that. That's one of the last ones that you get. So it's another thing to shoot for. The tactical smashes don't stack with each other. So if someone does Tactical Smash 19, someone does Tactical Smash 8, that doesn't do 30%. It does whichever was the latest one to hit the target. So if you do the 20%, that someone does 8 after it, the target will only have that 10% reduction. It'll override that 20%, so make sure you have that hashed out. See if I can find Iron Blood Will, which is the last skill title. Healing Wind, Withering Flame, I think it's about... Okay, that's the last one. Work my way up a few. I think there were like 5 or 6 titles after where is it? Oh, so it's not going to show it to me. There it goes. Iron Blood Will. It increases all damage dealt by 20%. Lasts for 15 seconds with a cooldown of 5 minutes. And that's all damage dealt by you, the person casting that skill. But that's not... That 20% is not 20% on your character screen like Champion Priest and Knight Priest is. That 20% is after everything's factored in, it does an additional 20% damage. So if you were going to do just 100,000 damage, no, it's not a lot, just for the sake of ease. If you were going to do 100,000 damage, that does 100,000 damage plus 20% of that, which is 20k damage. So you'll hit for 120k. That's the way that works. Whereas if you were going to hit for 100k and Champ Priest boost the 20% before, that might boost you up to like 150k or something like that. So anyway, yeah, this one comes into effect after. But now, if you're debating on using Iron Blood Will versus using Tac Smash 19 or something else, you just have to like weigh and consider what that 20% is going to do for your damage versus what the reduction for the boss's PDEF will do for the entire party's damage. It's not just all about how much damage one guy can do. So I guess that wraps it up. Basically, I've rambled long enough, so I guess if you have any questions, just message me at Kraden in game, or I'm also got Usopp and Zathal and Molotok and Kraden, because I obviously just want to say. But yeah, those are my 4 mains that I'm usually on. So if you see me online, then just, I don't know, message me if you have any questions. But I guess that basically concludes it for this episode, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time.